Well, one of my favorite things to teach is embodying your spirit. So we think of spirit, and we don't even necessarily think of it as connected to our cell tissue, but it can be. And so learning how to spread your spirit through this whole vast amount of space in the body and being able to feel it in your hands, in your head, in your heart, in your genitals, everywhere. So learning how to fill your body with your own spirit is amazing. And sometimes you get, like I said, just it starts with a little flicker, but that's the start.
Right. The flickering light is just a very, very subtle and very quiet part of your practice. And one of the things I've noticed is that you most often connect with it in almost like the gap between poses, when you feel that kind of wave of prana that comes through the body after a pose and kind of responds to a pose.
Some people can get it there. Some people get it more in Shavasana. Eventually, you start learning how to do the pose in a way that helps turn that on. So you make that the priority in the pose, not whether or not you're in full splits or, have your feet on your head or some of the more, advanced movements. It's like make your priority feeling your spirit in the pose, and then whew, that changes everything. Make priority the quality of energy rushing through you, instead of if you're bending far enough. The bend will change year to year. It's like, but to make this other thing more important is wondrous. It doesn't mean that, I finally got my hands clasped in interlock warrior, but no, that's not important. It's like, yes, it is. It's a victory. And really own and relish those victories. And more priority, connect to your spirit. Or if that's too advanced for the day, because sometimes it's just like, I just can't. That just is a theory today. It's just not happening. Then connect to feeling your body. If that's feeling like, okay, I got that, connect to your heart. And sometimes people get really weird around their heart, almost like the same weirdness around their spirit. Like, oh, I can't. It's like, you know exactly where it is. It's on the left. It does this little drum beat to get your attention. Breathe there. Actually, I've only met one person in my entire life that has his heart on the right, but pretty much everybody else is on the left. So it's like, yes, you can breathe and connect to this area.
Right.
And to build the courage to feel whatever feelings are stored in your heart or in your back, or, and some of it's really uncomfortable. Like your rage or your resentment or your hatred. I mean, things that are not spiritual according to people who are teaching delusionally about spirit. It's like rage, hatred, resentment. These are all human challenges that we must learn to deal with, and that is part of the spiritual road. Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah. And the whole concept of embodiment, that connecting to your heart or connecting to your breath or connecting to whatever is going on in your body, it's so it's so profound in a sense, and it's so overlooked, because as you said, we grow up and we're trained to spend pretty much all the time in our head. But the somatic landscape is very rich, very textured, has beautiful, profound depth, and it's like this whole dimension of our being that most of us just are not connected to. And I think there's even, somatic psychology is a whole form of psychology and counseling that deals with unlocking the tension patterns in kind of our extended body being. Has that inspired you in Forrest yoga? That concept of the somatic being?
I didn't do any studies into somatic psychology. That's a fairly recent labeling, that's at least as far as I know. But I'm glad to hear that it's happening. It's like that sounds like they're on the right track for me.
Yeah.
Great, go study that. I say that to my students. But it's like, I totally agree with you. When people begin to live their life deliberately feeling and sensing and gathering information with their whole body, it's like living in two dimensions that are also black and white, to opening up all of the senses, owning and cherishing and tending to all of the senses, tending to your eyes, tending to what information you bring in, and really caring about tending to feeling, like consciously, when you put your arms around people to give them a hug, feel them. Feel the pleasure of really embracing this person that you care about, or if you don't care about them, what the hell are you doing hugging them? Stop being so spineless. If you don't want to touch someone that wants to give you a hug, say no. That's part of embodying spirit, is like, be honest. You don't want to touch this person, they don't get to touch you. You get to draw that boundary. Wow! Yoga teachers don't know this, by the way. They think that anybody wants to wrap themselves around them, they have to accept it. So speaking as a master yoga teacher, if you don't want someone to touch you, you get the right to say no. And then when you do touch, it will be a more pleasurable experience because you're wanting to touch. You're wanting to feel that sweet embrace of someone that you care about, instead of just shutting down every time a person touches you because you feel you can't have any boundaries in order to be a holy person. It's like, that's such nonsense.